online, on the TuneIn app, and on your smart speaker. Play Shock Radio.
This is Shock
News.
Hello and welcome back to the Shock News podcast. I'm Sophie and I'm joined by Holly, Erin and Hannah. We've got a lot of stuff coming up today, but first off we're going to talk about the energy bills crisis in the wake of the Iran war. So what it is that Rachel Reeves has essentially... People are saying that she's had a weak response because of the energy costs and that she's not really doing all that she can. So sort of what do you guys think on it?
I think I agree. It is, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a weak response, but I think it is kind of excuses for excuses sake. Obviously there is going to be costs because of the war, but I mean there's other ways, there's ways and means, if you know what I mean. There's other ways around it that we can support, even just the people that need it. I think people will be less outraged about it in a sense if it wasn't just such a small group of people that were receiving the help, if you get what I mean. Yeah,
because basically what it is she's essentially said that some households won't get any help at all, but some will. And it's like, well, how do you decide that?
It's on what I've seen is she says that she's targeting it to those who need it most. But I've also seen on here that she's planning to meet with supermarkets and banks later in the week to discuss how they can help as well.
I think that with the supermarket one, I think that's good because it's obviously but you've already got the food bank, so it's like people can already get the sort of help. So it just depends sort of what she does with that, if that makes sense.
And they're gonna have such a clear cut plan for it, because they can't just go out there and say, "Oh, people that need it most." They're gonna have some kind of clear qualifications, in a sense of how are you gonna qualify for it? Here's who qualifies for it. Otherwise there's just people are just gonna be even more upset about it, because it's if they're not being clear about it, then it's a little bit shady.
Yeah, and she's criticised Liz Truss and said that the blanket help that she offered was the support was given to the most wealthiest of households and left us with high levels of national debt, a cheque written then for a bill that is still being paid today, which I feel sort of did happen if you're looking back at Liz Truss's
economy.
Yeah, and very short leadership.
Yeah. But I feel as well, people are going to have to remember that there is a war going on. Oil and gas prices, it happens all the time. Whenever anything like this happens, the prices go up, and it's kind of like a vicious cycle. So at the same time, people kind of have to expect that this is what was going to happen. It's not avoidable in a sense.
What do you think?
I mean, I'm trying to read it. I can't lie. I struggle sometimes with these things on really understanding it. I know more about the impacts that it has on families and say my own family or stuff like that. I understand the impact, because obviously it means that some families are then having to debate between paying those energy bills and buying other things, and you're having to give up other things, even little luxuries and stuff that might not even seem like a luxury. People might be having to give up subscriptions and stuff that might not seem like such a necessary just to pay to live in their house, which it shouldn't be the case when people in their homes haven't done anything to cause this war and have to then face the impact on it. So
I think as well it's sort of adding to the sort of leadership content contention that's on at the minute, because you've got Zach Polanski who saying
he just wants to get rid of everything.
Yeah. Because he said that Rachel Reeves has failed to understand the scale of the cost of living crisis that's about to hit this country, which I agree with, because it was bad 5 years ago, and it's just getting worse. There's no sort of way up that can be thought of at the minute, I think, and it's just no one really knows what they're doing at the minute. It's and I think a lot of people are regretting their vote of Labour, if they did vote Labour, to get at the last election.
What do we think as well about it not being unveiled for at least another month, the plans and how they're going to work?
I think that just shows that they haven't got a plan, essentially.
It's a bit
Because
cheeky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, sort of like being like, oh, well, we've got something. And it's kind of like just scaring the public as well.
Yeah.
They're being like, well, we've got something, but we're not going to share. Like for a month.
like tease it.
It would be like on a billboard, like the Olivia Rodrigo thing. Just be like Rachel Reeves, but like on like painted on a billboard, pink
It's like,
pink font.
pink font. Yeah, but like, because if you had a plan, you'd share the plan, because it's like,
Yeah.
why is it that it's sort of a hidden thing and no one actually knows what's going on? But I think this is also adding to the rising cost of fuel, because the average pump price of a litre of unleaded in the UK was 144.2p on Monday, and keep going up 3.9p week on week, and it's just
It keeps getting worse.
like, it's the highest price for unleaded since July 2024. And it's like, well, it's obviously not going to get better, because
Especially with the, like we said earlier, the situation going on in the world at the minute, like people kind of have to think about it critically as well. Like, although we can criticize the government, like there's only so much that they can do,
yeah,
in a sense, if you get what I mean. And I think it's interesting what Kemi Badenoch said about it as well, who's obviously the Conservative leader. She said that scrapping taxes on energy bills will be much better than offering targeted support to protect against an expected like increase in the prices. What do you think about that?
Don't really. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I just think that it's sort of the Tories are doing too little too late, because it's like they're
Definitely.
attempting to do now what they could have done like when they were in leadership, and it's so pointless. And like I said, no one actually knows what's going on in government, and I feel like everyone was like, oh, it'll get so much better when Labour get in, and it's like, it was for a bit, and then it's just, they're just people are describing them as Conservatives in red, and it's like, because they're getting more and more right wing.
And do you think that'll be reflected in like the next election results?
Yeah,
How people vote?
I think because obviously we saw with the Gorton and Denton election that Green obviously won a seat, and more people. See, this is the thing. People are also now voting Reform, and it's like they're just Conservatives dressed differently.
Yeah.
Then it's just. But I think the Green Party, in 10 years, I think they're going to be like leaded. Maybe 10 years, maybe a bit less than 10 years, because maybe they do the same as what happened now, and it's like, you think it gets
But that's
better.
the thing though, you have to take into consideration the parties that aren't in power at the minute can say whatever they want about it. It's not going to have any impact on them, what they say and how they feel about it. But we would only know if they were in power. Like, for example, Kemi Badenoch can say what she wants and she can say that things would work much better, but we wouldn't actually know that unless her policies were implemented by her government.
It's
You
just,
know what I mean?
I don't know. Because obviously the Tories have had so many leaders in the last 10 years. Like, what? You've had Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak, Liz Truss, and Kemi Badenoch. And it's just, you think it gets better, and then it just sort of doesn't. But should we move on to a sort of maybe happier story, I guess? So ministers have named 7 areas where new towns could be built. So the government has narrowed a list of potential sites that could be developed as part of its scheme to deliver a wave of new towns in England. So what do you think of this? I think this is a good thing for the economy, because it's like, obviously you've got, but then again, is it putting the money into the wrong sort of areas? Could we be taking money away from this and putting it back to the people? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's down to how it impacts individual people. I don't think there's a blanket answer for this one, really. I think, obviously, it's going to help a lot of people that need a house, that need places to live. But then you also have to bring the debate into it as well of like, are they going to be council houses? Are they going to be owned houses? That kind of thing. That will have a significant effect on how well it does benefit the economy. And obviously local people are going to be concerned about the environment as well. They're bound to, and what kind of sites that they're building these houses on, because like I say, you can't have something like this and it not be like kind of lesser of two evils situation.
It's also, I think, with like the areas that they're being built, you need to make sure that it's got like the resources and the infrastructure to actually kind of support all these new people that are going to be there as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, like I said about with it being like owned versus like rented or council houses as well, the local governments will definitely have to take into consideration as well how local people will react to that, because it's kind of like a known thing at the minute. There are lots of issues with, you know, kind of racism and things like that of people moving in from outside of the areas and stuff, and we have to think about, will that cause more issues of that ilk?
Yeah, I think again, like you say, it depends sort of who it's affecting, who's going to be moving in. But it says that sites are going to be subject to further environmental assessment, but ministers are aiming for each location to deliver between 10,000 and 40,000 homes. Which, when you think about that, 10,000 homes that they're just going to shove in the middle of Manchester.
Yeah.
It's like, where are you getting this space from? Are you taking away... I think that's what sort of the common and general consensus is, that they'll be taking away green spaces.
Because there's not that many to begin with.
No.
So it's kind of, we need all the ones that we
Not
already
enough
have.
for there to be 10,000 homes built in.
No.
And like it says, building new towns as well. You can't just put in a new town somewhere.
Literally.
That doesn't happen. And even with that then as well, like you've got to think about all the things that you need within it. Even like little towns that they then bring in like new homes. Sometimes it can be too much on the like existing town anyway, for like the schools and like hospitals and stuff. Like my town at home, we have one secondary school and we don't even have a hospital anymore. And they keep building more houses, and it's like, you can't do it because it just doesn't work.
We have the same problem where I live as well. It's the exact same.
And it's just like, you can't keep, it's like, you think, oh, on the entry level, oh, it sounds good, yay, more homes, more place for people to live. And then you go, wait, actually, logically, it just doesn't work, like, at all, because building new houses means you've got to build so much more stuff as well, like more shops and like more schools and more hospitals and stuff. And even if like you're just plopping them like in the middle of Manchester or something, you've got to make sure that like the already established resources actually are able to cope with the amount of people that will be moving in.
What about as well with it saying that some of the plans are just like regeneration work? And obviously there's been a lot in the news at the minute about the rising cost of living in Manchester, with, you know, all these like new massive like tower blocks of apartments being built, and it just being like, you know, like expensive living, like, you know, high rise, that kind of thing, and there not actually being enough houses for people, you know, to suit their budgets. Do you think this will change any of it?
I think it is just adding to the gentrification of Manchester, which...
People are already angry about that anyway.
Yeah, it's like you can sort of see it in town when you go in town, and you've got, like at the minute it's matcha shops everywhere. Like a few years ago it was like sport shops or like just coffee shops, sandwich shops, stuff like that. And it's just, I think if you take care to keep the original like groundwork and stuff like that, but it's when you start knocking down all the old buildings to put up these new ones that it's... Because it's like that... Like, Manchester is obviously, like... It was a factory town, and... When you go now into town and look around you, you used to be able to see, like... all, like, the factories and stuff, and now it's just buildings and flats and stuff around you, and it's... I think it's kind of depressing. And also, it does just add to the overcrowding and stuff, because... Think about trying to walk through Market Street now. Imagine walking through Market Street if there was 10,000 more homes in Manchester, and it's like...
Yeah, it'd be hell.
That's like 20,000 people plus.
Yeah.
Thinking about who would live in... But yeah, I think it's a good idea to sort of help with like a housing crisis and stuff, But if we're looking at the cost of living crisis and overcrowding and stuff, it's just not. I don't think it's feasible at the minute.
Yeah, and linking onto that as well, the government actually had a target to build 1.5 million new homes by the next general election. And obviously, if there's that much outrage about that small of a number out of that, how are they going to manage to, fulfill that quota and, say to people, yeah, this is what we did, this is why you should vote for us again?
Yeah, some of it's a good idea, but if it's executed well, it'll be great.
That's all that matters.
If not, you've just got all this building and it's going to take ages as well. Like, you go to town now and everything is literally building sites, and it's just going to be the same again.
I think an important thing as well with it would be to talk to the local people, in the nearby, villages and stuff about how they feel about it, because obviously that is important. The people that live there at the moment are, they build the community that's there. So speaking to them to be like, yeah, this is going to happen, but is there a way you would like us to do it? Is there a certain way you want us to approach it? That kind of thing. It would make it so much easier for them, but I just don't think it'll happen.
No. Well, if we're going on to a sort of overcrowding thing, should we talk about the current meningitis?
Yes.
Sort of, I want to say scare, but outbreak.
Yeah.
I'm actually terrified, so I'm going to get meningitis.
Me too.
So I texted my mum and I was like, am I vaccinated? She was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, but could I get meningitis? She was like, well, anyone can get it. And I was like, you're not supposed to say that. You need to tell me no. But
I think the main thing with this is, I think a lot of the news outlets and stuff are really just trying to keep people calm.
Yeah.
Because obviously we look back at 6 years ago, just this week, the state that the world was in. And I mean, I've seen there are cases of it in Manchester, but no other news outlets apart from the local news are reporting on it because they're clearly worried about scaring people. And I think as well, being quite online and everything and seeing the things that people are putting on, people literally having to post videos saying yeah, don't listen to this. You cannot contract meningitis from just sitting next to them on the bus. That's not how it works. And I think that's what's going to be dangerous. The fact that there's already so much misinformation out there with it.
Well, Wes Streeton has said that we are not out of the woods yet, which is so scary.
Yeah.
To think about it. But I feel like we are now better, as a country, we're better prepared for how to handle if it did get as bad as COVID did. But I feel like the only reason COVID got as bad as it did was because no one knew how to handle it. The government didn't, obviously they just didn't handle it well at all. It was just 3 men on TV with PowerPoint slides.
Yeah.
That was all that their advice sort of was, because it was you can go outside, and then it was no, you can't go outside, stay inside, but go outside for 10 minutes. But now you can't go outside at all. See some people, but now you can't see anyone. And it's just, if you think about it, that is what made it so much worse.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think we are better prepared. I think as a society, we're better prepared but then again, I think people are scared that it will turn into that. So
yeah, I think that's the main worry. But I think people just need to, I think I said it earlier, but they need to think critically about it and just think, what information am I choosing to believe? What am I looking at? Where am I getting my information from? People need to remember to listen to, the BBC over Joe on TikTok or something, because I genuinely have seen so much misinformation about it. And I think that's why people are panicking so much, because we are obviously it's affecting students a lot. We know firsthand, and we can say ourselves we're the first to believe what we see online a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I think that message needs to really get out there of listen to the people that know what they're talking about.
I think it is also the fact, because obviously it was basically they think that it started in a nightclub among students. And it's when you think about us as students, university culture is going out, drinking, and it's just, I know a lot of people who are actually oh, I don't want to go out at all, I don't want to get meningitis, and it's but they've said that they're trying to contain it to Kent, which that doesn't
how then
but
obviously
you're not stopping people from like going in and out of
No.
Kent. So
Yeah,
like, if someone's
especially
got
with
it and they don't know, because
the
obviously there's a big thing about the fact that you might be like carrying it, a bit like how it was with COVID. You might be carrying it and showing no symptoms, but then you can still pass it on to someone else.
yeah.
And if you're going up and down on trains and like from one end of the country to the other, then
Yeah, especially
could
with
easily
the
give
Easter
to someone
break that's
else.
coming up. 'cause
Exactly.
obviously, everyone's going to be going home and everything.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people here as well are from kind of that area. So it's going to be not interesting, but I can't really think of a better word for it. To kind of, it's going to be definitely something to see how it's going to be when we come back.
Yeah, and because again, how can you contain it? But you're not doing anything to contain it. Or they're doing lab testing to try and figure out to see whether or not it was linked to the Canterbury outbreak. But it's like, how can you test how someone got? Like, it's that I can't get my head around. But I feel like at the minute we're fine, or that's what we're being told, and it's whether or not. I think we are fine.
Do you know what I think is scaring a lot of us though? It's the fact that obviously we all know the vaccine that we had is meningitis A vaccine, and the strand that's out now is meningitis B.
Yeah.
So obviously everybody's panicking and being like, well, we don't have that vaccine, so like, you know, it's like mass panic, like we need it. But yeah, I think that's what people, like I said, especially of our age, are worried about, because we know that we're vaccinated against one but not the other.
Yeah, it's just sort of, I don't know what's going on. But anyways, should we move on to the new BBC Director General, who is the ex-boss of Google, Matt Britton? I don't really know what's been going on with any of this. It's sort of like, I haven't been keeping up to date because I feel like Google's one of those businesses that you don't really
hear about
Please
stuff that
no.
goes on with it.
No, you don't. And I think that's one reason why I'm a little bit skeptical about this. Kind of like Google to BBC is a bit of a jump when you think about it. Not just like scale wise, but also like job wise. I think it's not random. He's obviously got the job for a reason, but I think, you know, coming from a place where like it's not, you know, solely news focused, like, I mean, they've been developing like AI or things like that, going to being like the Director General of a news corporation, what does that mean?
Well, he used to be the president of the Europe, Middle East and Africa operations, and worked there for 18 years. And the chairman of the BBC, Samir Shah, has said that he brings to the BBC deep experience of leading a high-profile and highly complex organisation through transformation. So it does sort of sound like he knows what he's doing, but it's like, how can you, like, because the BBC is such a wide, different, there's so many different things in the BBC, like, it's not just about the TV or the radio, you've got, like, the articles, you've got other stuff, and it's like, how can you be, because it's sort of not entertainment, but it's like putting stuff out to the people, essentially. How can you go from Google to the BBC? But I feel like it's going to be interesting to see where the BBC goes from now. But if we're moving on to some light-hearted stuff, should we go on to our entertainment section?
Yes.
This is all I'm here for. What should we start with, guys? What's everyone's favourite?
I'm quite excited to see about the Mobos, which is the what did you say it was?
Music of Black Origin.
Music of Black Origin Awards, which are first time ever going to be in Manchester as of tomorrow. Co-op live again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I know Olivia Dean's also performing as well.
Mm-hmm. I think the Mobos are always such a good awards in terms of like recognition, because you've got so many different genres. I feel like the Mobos recognise genres that aren't necessarily in like the mainstream awards. But and the fact that it's in Manchester is again just that it's good for the economy. Mm-hmm. It's really good for the economy because the Brits was, and I feel like it is just shy, because it's like when you think about music, most of it comes from the north, and You know, Manchester's we've got Oasis guys, we've got all the great bands. But yeah, I'm excited to see just what happens, who wins. I'm trying to find out the nominees.
The nominees. For some of the other categories, there's so many categories, there's so many nominees. But I know Pink Pantheress is nominated for one, Ray's nominated for one, H, Central C, there's some of the names in there.
I think a really exciting thing is as well, they did similar to what the Brits did. They did like a Marlborough Fringe this week, which is obviously really good for like all the small venues and everything which have been in the news a lot recently. I think anything they can do to kind of like bring attention to them, especially at the minute, is really, really important. So I think people have been really enjoying that, and it's really good for Manchester. Yeah.
And I think if we're going to get onto the small music venues, we've got BBC Radio 6 Music Festival, which starts today, Wednesday the 25th, and is on until the 28th of March, so Saturday. I am trying to get tickets because Block Party and the Horrors are on at Band on the Wall on Friday, and I love Block Party. But Nick Grimshaw's doing a DJ set at Yes Bar on Friday.
I like it.
So it's the Indie Forever Club night with DJ sets from Steve Lamacq, Best Ditto and Nick Grimshaw, Emily Pilgrim and Nathan Shepherd and Lambrini Girls. I love Steve Lamacq so much because when he was at the SRAs, I was like, oh my god, it's Steve Lamacq, because I know my dad likes Radio 6 music, and literally I was just like, oh my god, like this is one of my heroes. I did not go on Network, unfortunately, but I really wish I did. And then you've also got Yard Act and Sorry, who are on at Yes on Friday as well, which I'm very excited about because, again, it's showing the smaller venues. Like, imagine seeing, like, these big names in a small venue. And it's like...
Exactly. And small venues that we go to and that we actually see, it kind of, especially when it's somewhere, like, that you know really well and you're out and about and all the time. I mean, like what you've just said about Yes as well, like, I've been there loads, and it's like, these big artists playing in, like, little venues that we love.
I'm very excited. And then really quickly, should we get onto the BAFTAs? Yes. The BAFTA TV nominations have come out. Have you got the nominations?
Let me find them.
I believe that Adolescence has had quite a sweep. Yeah, which is deserved. Because it is fantastic.
So I'll just go for some of the main categories. So for drama series, 1,000 Blows, Blue Lights, Code of Silence, and This City Is Ours. This City Is Ours that one did really well on the BBC. It had a great cast. It was the one that's set in Liverpool, I feel like it was. It had Saoirse Monica Jackson from Derry Girls in. So I was like, limited drama, you've got Adolescence, I Fought the Law, Trespasses, and What It Feels Like for a Girl. I feel like obviously it's going to be Adolescence.
Yeah.
Like that, they've just swept.
Leading actor is so good.
Leading actor is, You've got Colin Firth, Ellis Howard, James Nelson Joyce, Matt Smith, Stephen Graham, and Taron Egerton. I feel like it's going to be Stephen Graham because, an adolescent.
But that is a stacked category.
That is. Yeah. Out of all of these, I've watched so Stephen Graham in Adolescence and Matt Smith in The Death of Bunny Monroe, and then James Nelson Joyce in This City Is Ours. The Death of Bunny Monroe was amazing. I wasn't expecting it. It's sort of advertised as a comedy, but the minute you start watching it, it's like, oh, it's actually quite sad.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's like whiplash. It's so good. And then Amy Lou Wood and Erin Doherty both have 2 nominations each. So that's for leading actress and supporting actress, with Amy Lou Wood in Film Club for leading, and then The White Lotus for supporting, and then Erin Doherty for 1,000 Blows in leading, and for Adolescence in supporting. That's going to be a tough one because Amy Lou Wood was incredible in The White Lotus.
Yeah, she was.
But you've also got Erin Doherty from Adolescence.
And that
was insane.
That was a crazy performance, yeah. And I believe she has won some other awards for it as well.
Erin Doherty, yeah. And you've also got Rose Ayling-Ellis in the supporting actress category, which she's done amazing at the minute. She was in Code of Silence, but this is for Reunion, which I haven't watched. But Code of Silence was really good, so I'm very excited to see the BAFTAs. And Greg Davis is hosting.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
I love Greg Davis.
No, I feel very proud because he's literally from like 5 minutes up the road from me. So it's very
I
exciting.
love Greg Davis. But anyway, that's all that we have time for. Thank you very much for watching.